All right. It is 6 o'clock, and we're going to prep some Dungeons and Dragons. It's Tuesday, so we're going to be working on our Gothic Horror campaign setting. And within the Gothic Horror campaign setting, um, we have decided to make the focus on the 5e system, but to look for systems and homebrew that improve upon the core 5e experience. And what a time to be doing that with Level Up 5e and Valda's Spire of Secrets. So, what we have been building for the last couple weeks is a point by race system. So, instead of having a race or a species or anything like that, the focus here is going to be on being able to spend points to build any sort of creature you want, sort of representing a more modern take on the D&D fantasy genre of my dad is a half-orc and my mom is a blue tiefling, to reference the recently revealed artwork from the Critical Role adventure that just got released, that everyone's kind of assuming that Jester and Ford's kid is on the cover because there's a blue-skinned half-orc on the cover. So the idea is you have an amazing idea. You want to be a platypus person. You can make a goddamn platypus person. You want to be a robot, a little tiny robot. Well, I mean, just this week they came out with the Clockwork Gnome, or maybe it was last week. But now, you could be a robot if you want. You could be a half robot, half fire elemental. You could be a fire elemental that rides around in a robot suit. Yeah, I mean, whatever character you want. We're trying to build a point-buy system that allows you to do that. So, we're going to continue work on that, and we're going to incorporate stuff from the recently released Travelers of the Multiverse, as well as Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, which has some custom races in it as well. I think I might have to dig out the player's guide for that, but I don't want to give out too many spoilers about Odyssey of the Dragon Lords. And then there's a couple other sources that I wanted to take a look at and kind of pull points from, as well as continuing to look over the Grazilaxx's Ancestry system and see what point by abilities we could grab from there. So no webcam this week. I'm at a different house / setup than I usually am. I didn't bring my webcam with me, so and I didn't have time today to put like a little 2D image of Cam or something in the bottom right hand corner, so you could pretend that we had a malfunctioning discount VTuber model or something. So yeah, just imagine there's a floating head there talking to you as we podcast / radio show our way through this build session. Hey, what's up, Gandian? All right. So before I forget, the one that I was the most excited about actually didn't come from the Travelers of the Multiverse. It came from, let's see, which one did it come from? Raiders of the Serpent Seas Guide. So Odyssey of the Dragon Lords is pretty damn good. Good enough that I'm running it twice, even though it runs levels 1 to 20. This Raiders of the Serpent Sea is the same publisher, not the same exact team, but the same publisher. And it is basically an epic tale created by Brent Knowles, who, worked on Neverwinter Nights, I believe, and a couple other games. Yeah, and so he's kind of doing his own take of like, what if Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, but Vikings? So it's an epic Viking adventure, and it's going to kickstart later this month. I'm trying to make some time this month before the Kickstarter, or maybe the beginning of the Kickstarter, to sit down with him and kind of pick his brain, because I'm a huge fan of Odyssey of the Dragon Lords. So I would like to sort of find out what inspired him from that, what he's looking to do with his new thing. So pretty excited. I will admit to a certain amount of temptation. But what I read in the player's guide, which I am remiss, I have not had time to like sit down and just look at in a stream with everybody, is everybody does plant people. Plant people's like whatevs. So we'll look at plant people first. But let me tell you, the plant people aren't as cool as the second one we're going to look at. So there's this playable race called Wicker. All right, so woven together when the world was created, the Wicker are unusual constructs. Though made from wood, they are clearly separate and apart from the natural world. They were built for a purpose, but the purpose has been long forgotten. Some believe that Mirgal created them as a jest, others that Grimnir itself birthed them, maybe even to protect the world from Mirgal himself. I don't know who these people are in context, so I'm assuming they're fake Norse gods. But like you could see, this has so many similarities, layout-wise and aesthetic-wise, with Odyssey of the Dragonlords. Similar art, possibly the same artist that they used before. Quotes thrown in there, the whole deal. But this isn't about Odyssey of the Dragonlords. This is just about building our Bloodline system for Gothic Horror. All right, so traits. When this was written, they were still assigning ability scores to races, which is a big no-no now, apparently. Age. Wicker do not age, and you're immune to magical aging effects. I thought that was kind of a cool ability. So what I thought we could do is we will add we got the artificial life tier right here, tier 1. I'm gonna just put timeless as an ability, and then we'll put you do not age. Oh my gosh, you're being way too helpful here, way too helpful. All right, you do not age. You are immune to magical aging effects. So that was kind of a new one that I saw for race. That was pretty cool. Going through all this homebrew is getting me very excited about exploring these other aspects of D&D. Walking speed is 25 feet or less, so I like the idea of a flaw, and that flaw would be slow movement. And basically, it would be a flaw that you could take like twice if you wanted to. All of your base speeds are 5 less than normal. Okay. I have this new keyboard, and it feels great. You do? Yeah, I guess I did. Thanks. All right. Let's see. Then they've got natural armor. And the way they do this natural armor is different than what I've seen before. The tight and hard coils of wood used to build you provides a +2 bonus to your armor class. Just a fucking +2 bonus. You may use any armor for which you have proficiency, but customizing it to accommodate your form increases the cost by 50%. This is very strong. The ability of Warforged to have a +1 AC bonus and still be able to wear armor is pretty ridiculous. But this is a +2 bonus. That's even better than the Warforged bonus. I thought that was kind of crazy. Now, they do balance it out. You have aversion to fire. If the Wicker takes fire damage, it has disadvantage on saving throws and ability checks until the end of its next turn. I like that quite a bit. I think that's a pretty good flaw, because it has mechanical stuff without giving you full-on double damage from something. So we're going to put elemental aversion. This could be very flavorful if, say, you made a water genasi, but you wanted it to actually feel like a water genasi. Yeah, you could do something with this. It'd be pretty cool. So we'll do flaw. And your water genasi is has an aversion to lightning damage, but doesn't take like double damage from lightning damage. So I thought that was a pretty cool way to handle elemental weakness on a character. They also have tool proficiencies built in, and then they have subclasses of this, which I thought was interesting. And then we have neither dead nor alive. You don't need to eat, drink, sleep, or breathe. You're immune to disease and have advantage on saving throws against poisoning. A Wicker cannot have its form altered by any spell or effect. That said, an essence has been kindled within you that allows healing spells, even for those that specifically prohibit the use on a construct, benefit you. And you'll see this again with the autognomes. So this is a very powerful and cool way to handle constructs. So I'm going to give it its own heading. And right now I'm just throwing up big headings. This is not how This is not how I intend to keep the document edited, but for now, it's just a place to kind of dump ideas out. There we go. Alright, so I thought this was really good and needs to be kind of explored a little bit further. I still feel that natural armor is too strong. Because you could really stack that AC early game, and it's kind of bananas. Also, as a DM, would you allow this ability to transfer over to wild shapes? I mean, that'd be dope. All your wild shapes are like wood creatures. That would be really, really cool. And I think it would, because racials, you still can have access to them, I think, in your wild shapes. So that would be kind of badass. These guys would make amazing moon druids. All right, so we've got Watchers, and they have this ability. They are more cleverly constructed than builders. Their wooden frame is hidden by neatly sculpted panels of wood, and magic enlivens their facial features so that they may pass as human, elf, gnome, or halfling. That's kind of creepy. Aside from detection magic, a suspicious NPC will only notice that the wicker is a construct after a minute of examination and a DC 20 intelligence check. I dig that. So I don't know what to do with it, but I think what I would call it like pass as other. And I feel like it would be a good one, not just for constructs, but for any creature that is extremely unnatural and wants to disguise itself among humans. Didn't use the circle of the Forge subclass that allows construct-like features. Yes. If I were going to send you the link to a PDF I found that I think you'd like, what method would you prefer, Crashgem? If you got Discord, definitely send it to Discord, because my Nightbot is set up to just kill anybody posting links. So that would be the best way to do it. And I don't really want to toggle it off and toggle it back on and all that jazz. Otherwise, you could email me if you don't have Discord. But Discord is... I'll put it in chat. And email is... But you have to let me know when you send it over so I could like check which one it is. Alright, so I like the idea of pass as other. I think that's kind of cool. Persuasive has a +1 bonus to charisma and starts with proficiency in persuasion. That's a nice double whammy there. Change is inevitable. At any level up, a watcher can decide to tear off their facade and become a builder. This transformation is irrevocable, and all benefits of being a watcher are abandoned when they shed their skin. That's pretty badass. Alright, so the builder are the bulk of the Wicker folk. They wield a variety of odd tools, many of which have been grafted onto their bodies. Versatile but uncertain of their role, these Wicker search for a place in the world. Add or remove limbs. During a long rest, a Wicker can add or remove additional limbs. They may only have one of the following: 2 additional legs that increase their base movement feet by 10 feet. A tool arm. Either of the 2 artisan soul tools in the core race feature, which when used give advantage to tool use checks. A shield arm that grants a +1 AC can be used with another shield. So these creatures could have a passive AC bonus of +3 while wearing plate while using a shield. So these creatures could roll out with a 23 armor class just with a plate mail and shield without adding fighter defense bonus, which would bring it up to a 24, being able to cast a shield spell, or any other number of defensive bonuses that they could learn. That is ridiculous, to the point of almost Pathfinder ridiculous, but I kind of like it. And then a spiked club arm that does 1d6 piercing or bludgeoning damage, treated as a magical weapon at 17th level. So that seems... it's a very cool race. I think they're very, very cool. I just don't know what to do with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we want to have... yeah, we want to have this in here. So we need something like adaptable limbs. Because I feel like for the bio-organic faction, where they're constantly changing their body, that's huge. I feel like undead are probably going to want to be able to do something like that. Like I'm a zombie or a skeleton, I just add more shit to my body. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know why you would ever take the weapon modification when you could get fucking shield arm. I don't know why you would do that, but you know. Let's see. Let's clean this up a little bit real quick. Now, if you don't have the core tool thing, I think it would just be a tool. It has to be a tool you have proficiency with. Alright, so a tool arm, and we'll put must be a tool with which you have proficiency. Alright, cool. Oh, thank you, Gandian. I'll take a look real quick. Let's see. Life path method. Not mine. Finally found it after some decent searching. This is from Arcana Times. Okay. Oh, is this for the super reincarnation rules? Or is this the point buy system we're talking about? Alright, hold on. I'll download it. Interesting. Let me go to Drive real quick, see if I can find this thing. Alright, although there's several methods for character creation outlined in the Player's Handbook, one thing they'll fall short on is explaining how a character gained the ability scores they were blessed with. Oh, that's kind of cool. This guide will provide you with all the tools needed to create a D&D 5e character using Hornbook's Life Path method. A character worksheet included in this guide will make the process of rolling a character easier. There's also a one-leaf character sheet. Okay. And then there are different paths. So this kind of sounds like it's more for, like, background and culture and less for race, which is awesome because that is the next thing that we're going to be working on. After we're done with the Bloodline is we're going to work on culture, because something that got pointed out to me by Level Up 5e, yeah, so one thing that got pointed out to me by Level Up 5e is that they have basically your species or your race, and that is separate from your culture. This implies that you're in a D&D world where they have evolved through magic and technology past the racial divisions of more classic fantasy, right? So it's less about the orcs are attacking, and it's more about the army of the Blood Fist is attacking. And anybody could join the army of the Blood Fist. Yes, is it mostly made up of hobgoblins and their orc mercenaries? It is, but it's more than just orcs and hobgoblins. It's people that are working for that god, for that purpose, for that warlord or whatever. They're the bad guys. It's not hobgoblins are the bad guys. It's not orcs are the bad guys. It's the army of the Red Fist are the bad guys. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it generates your scores for strength exterior over 12 rolls on the tables provided. Yeah, so what I'm thinking is, yeah, or just like something in early Worlds of Warcraft that used to bother me was the game was like, let's be racist to each other. Horde versus Alliance. You know, if I'm an orc, I have to be on the Horde. If I'm a human, I have to be on the Alliance. But then anytime you fought like any bad guys or whatever, it was almost always like an organization where they had races from both both areas. You know what I'm saying? Like doomsday cults, people worshiping old ones, stuff like that. Yeah, sometimes you went to a dungeon and it was all ogres, or sometimes you went to a dungeon and it was all orcs, or something like that. But a lot of times there were evil organizations or good organizations that were composed of races from every faction, kind of intermingling. That's sort of what I think modern 5e audience is after, right? They don't want shit to be locked tight into race, like, because it has some problematic elements that kind of tie to the real world and your perception of people based on their ethnicity and their race, instead of it being more focused on creed and culture and things like that. That is why Level Up 5e, I believe, is adding that sort of creed or culture as a more defining part of character creation. So you would have your culture, your background, and your species. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, thank you. So that's what we're working on here. Oh boy, another raid. Fantastic. Um hey, what's up? So that's why we're working on this bloodline system, is we want people to be able to create whatever kind of character they want, even if it's a platypus person. And after they've created that character, then we have the background system pulled from Grimhollow that is a more detailed background that you can build on and actually level up your background. And then we got the culture, and that culture is going to be like that third element of character creation where, yeah, I'm playing an orc, but I'm also an orc from this kingdom, and being from this kingdom means that I have these predispositions. Not because I'm an orc, but because I'm from this particular region, or because I'm from this particular kingdom. Yeah, thank you. It's going pretty good. We're building a point-buy system for character creation. So we're going through other sources that have unique homebrew races, and we're figuring out what cool ideas there are and how we could add them to our point-buy system. So the system's designed with 5 bloodlines, and then you get to do that. Whoa, what's up? What's up? You got news for me? Okay, just leaving me hanging there. All right, I'm gonna keep going. So, getting back to it then, that is what I got a Kickstarter going right now that overhauls DD. I mean, is it Level Up 5e? Because that would be nuts. Because we were just talking about Level Up 5e. I don't know. That'd be insane. Is it Level Up 5e? Hmm. I mean, let me know what it is. I'll Google it. If it's not Level Up 5e. Frostmark. All right, hold on. Let's see. Frostmark. RPG. I see that there's a link on Reddit. What is Frostmark RPG Kickstarter launch? All right. Okay. There we go. All right, let's see what we got here. Frostmark, the RPG. Most of the habits of Frostmark. Believe the world consists of 1 continent, 11 kingdoms. Okay, keep going, keep going. Let's see. All right, what is Frostmark? 700 years ago, Human Empire. 600 years ago, New Age is coming. The system. All right. Class system has been overhauled to increase character customization. Nice. Spellcasting requires a new source, Souls, constant that heavily permeates the lore of Frostmark. A more meaningful skill system with tiers of advancement that reward players rather than hinder growth. Skills are now more appropriate for character customization and ease of use. 9 ability scores instead of 6. Woof. You mad lad. To balance the physical, mental, and social aspects. That sounds very World of Darkness to do 9 ability scores instead of 6. 9 ability scores are not only rational and clear, but also increase characters' customization and expression. After all, there are many ways to be intelligent, many ways to be socially adept. Metric system, oh my goodness, and much more. Let's see. Character creation means your backstory. Ability origins fit your character. When it's time to level up your PC, you simply choose an ability from your ability origins that makes sense with the narrative and your character's theme, so long as you meet the prerequisites. Oh, it does sound like a little bit of a mashup between traditional D&D and World of Darkness. Is that close to what you're? Yeah, okay, definitely inspired by World of Darkness, about the same. Very cool. All right, I will have to check this out. Yeah, because we dug into World of Darkness as a possible system to use for this campaign setting we're building, but I don't know. In the end, it was a little too point buy. I think I kind of wanted to go with something a bit more traditional 5e, but then I also wound up trying to build this point buy system for race. So that led us to Grazilaxx's work, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with Grazilaxx's Ancestry system. He turns every single race that he runs into a point buy system, but the problem with his system is the point buy is locked into the race still. So if you're playing an orc, you can only buy orc abilities, which that seemed too limiting. So we're basically building on that to just create 5 bloodlines, and then from that bloodline, you have a whole list of stuff you could do. Let's see, I have several players said that after they create a character Frostmark, they can never create a character 5e again without being disappointed. Is it 5e compatible, or is it spin-off as a thing? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, imagine with 9 points, 9 ability points, that alone would cause so much restructuring and redesign. All right. Here, I'll throw that into chat in case anybody wants to go check out the Kickstarter. There you go. All right. So, let's get back to these guys. This is what I wanted to point out from this particular document. As cool as those plant people were, this person has made a tall folk. So a tall folk is like a half giant, like from Dark Sun, but with very heavy duty frost giant Viking influence. So since the Exodus, tales of enormous men and women appearing in the forest of Turnfjall have spread over time. A community of these large humanoids have formed a clan of their own, the Risa, or the Ryza. The true origins of the tall folk are not known, but some say that their ancestors were originally found alone in the great woods, standing in the shadow of the mountain Turnfjall. Legends, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, they're giant descended people. And not like Goliaths that are Jeremy Crawford medium. This person actually straight up says that they are large. These are large creatures. And they overwrite the rules for large creatures found in the DMG, which I think is what makes them work. So they still have ability scores tied to size, or not size, to race, which, we're kind of moving away from. And we go over here. They are 9 feet, and some are almost 11 feet. Your size is large. Like, there it is. Large race. And so how they handle that is you have this thing called bulky. Your large size allows you to double the range of any thrown weapon and add +1 to its damage. Additionally, your reach when using melee weapons is +5 more than the weapon's normal reach. All clothing and armor costs 50% more to make. So I think that's kind of cool, and if it is in fact overwriting the rules for large creatures found in the DM's guide, it would be alright. The problem with large creatures, the main problem with large creatures, is that if they spend the money, they can create large equipment. So basically that large equipment does double damage. So if I'm a large creature and I spend the money to build a large creature greatsword, that greatsword is going to do 46 points of damage. Which immediately gives me double the damage of a creature of medium size. So that's the main reason that they try to avoid it. The other reason that they try to avoid large creatures is enlarge is a spell, so now we're dealing with a huge creature. And if you are in the habit of being enlarged frequently, maybe you're a rune knight, maybe you're a rune knight with access to enlarge. Now you can be a huge creature, you could be a gargantuan creature. So there's a lot of ways that it could sort of get out of control. Also, anything related to you as the center of an effect or a spell is much bigger because your body is bigger. It takes up more grids on the map. So yes, exactly. Tall folk, and being big represents a lot of tricky stuff there. So I don't know if they've taken that into account with the design. I don't know if bulky is the replacement to the abilities found in the DMSG for large, or if this is in addition to that. Because if this is in addition to that, you already have a huge benefit being a large creature. You could just repeat what the DMG says about large creatures, and that alone would be an amazing ability. So I do think it's exciting that they are taking that step and making making a large race. But I still don't know if it's the perfect solution. And then you got breaking point. Once per short or long rest, the tall folk can elect to lose control. Weird wording here too is once per short or long rest. Usually just mention at the end with like when the ability recharges. The tall folk can elect to lose control. When hit, you may reduce damage dealt to you from a single melee attack by d12 plus your Constitution modifier. So this is like the Goliath ability. You can then use a reaction to launch a bonus attack against the opponent that damaged you, as well with advantage. But this would just be a reaction to make an attack. However, after the battle, you feel regret. You no longer roll initiative and instead take your actions on initiative count 5 for any future encounters until this negative effect is removed with a long or short rest. It's very weird. I guess it reflects you embracing kind of your savage ancestry and then feeling bad about it. There's a lot going on here that still needs some work. So the two subclasses of this are essentially forest giants who have camouflage similar to wood elves, and then you have frostborn who have resistance to cold, which is way better than camouflage, like way better. So overall, not as mechanically interesting as the Wicker, but equally as OP as the Wicker. Both of these races are just really, really strong. And I think it just kind of illustrates the danger of a large race and how you put it out there. So, yeah. Oh, man. Chat's, like, having all kinds of talk here. Shoot. Okay. I have several players, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That system where you can only take features that your race allows, it's good as a crutch for people who need to be limited and not min-max. But I think limiting character creation choices by backstory concept is the most dynamic. I've actually been reading up on Savage Worlds, and as I've been looking for more flexibility in the systems I use at my table. I don't really think an Ancestry restricted system is a crutch, but I do really enjoy more open systems. Interesting. Yeah, I do think it is a cool design that they try to include that, emotional thing. Because this kind of speaks more of like a cultural value of this race than almost anything you see mechanically, right? To actually have a mechanical property of this race. This comes up with the Sirens of Odyssey of the Dragonlords. Sirens in Odyssey of the Dragonlords have abilities based on if they're happy or if they're sad. And so if you're role-playing properly, you might not have access to flight because your siren is too sad to fly. But you might also not have access to some of your other abilities if your siren is too happy. Now, they suggest that Eladrins, 5e Eladrins are... oh, wow. It has been over a year, John. I guess you could say we're pretty serious now. Yeah, so the idea behind a 5e Eladrin is that you also let your role-playing guide the mechanics of the character. Same thing with the Sirens from that. This is just built in. It says, if you use this ability, you gotta feel bad about it. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's totally up to you. I'm playing a half orc on Wednesdays, and whenever she gets excessively violent, she does feel bad about it because culturally, there, especially in the north, in 10 towns of Forgotten Realms, Icewind Dale, there is still a lot of lingering racism against orcs and orc clans and orc culture, and how violent it was in the history of Faerun. And so when she gives into violence, she often wonders, is she giving into violence, or is she giving into the violence of the bloodline of being, an orc or whatever? This feels like it's kind of ham-fisting you. It's like, you will feel bad about this. So, yeah, I don't know if I really like it. I understand what they're doing. They want this setting to feel a certain way, and they want the races that they have designed for the setting to play a certain way. So I understand why they're being a little more strict with it and kind of ham-fisting that design in there. But for the Bloodline system, we want to make sure that we keep it a little bit open. Something like feeling bad about something would definitely be slotted as a flaw, and then you would decide for yourself, oh yeah, I'm going to take this flaw that whenever I use this ability, I feel bad or whatever. So that's, it's a different way to handle it. All right, another document I thought we could go over. This is kind of an oldie. But basically, Monstrous Races. So a long, long time ago, Tyler Kamstra went and converted every single monster in 5th edition Monster Manual into a playable race. So, every monster into a playable race. You could be a Hydra if you wanted to. So I was like, well, if we are looking for things for a point-buy system, this guy literally converted everything over. Everything from Aarakocra, which already has its own race, to Abylis, and all the way through everything. Solar, Planetar, it's all in here. So I thought that was pretty extreme of them, but it has been very helpful over the years for kind of niche character designs or curses that happened. Yeah. So I thought about going through here and trying to kind of pick out some more exceptional things that were happening. For example, if you wanted to play as an awakened flying sword, this is just a weird flex, but if you wanted to play as a sword, you are unable to wear armor or use shields, but you do have a flight speed. You are proficient in yourself because you're a sword, and you have a natural armor while unarmored. I don't know how you would armor up a sword, but I don't doubt that somebody would figure it out. But they have this flaw of no hands. You're unable to wield weapons or wear shields, and cannot use items which require manipulation, spellcasting, foci, wands, tools, etc. So that definitely seems like a very strange but very cool flaw that could be added to the flaws section of the document. So I just, I'm making a character I want to play, and I don't have any hands. So yeah, now we have mechanical language for how we could do that. So I thought this document would be kind of an amazing source of weird shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like transfer damage. While you are grappling a creature, you take only half the damage dealt to you, and the creature you're grappling takes the other half. That actually sounds really cool. So I don't even know how to put that out over there. Like grappling. Like I don't know. So I'll just put damage master grappling or grappler. Kind of put that in there. But it is 283 pages. It's obviously not something that I'd do on stream. We wouldn't go like item by item and like kind of find all these things, but it's pretty intense. And then it gives you instructions on how to play as that particular monster, what this classic monster would play as, and how the abilities that monster has would be used. But you could theoretically be anything in Dungeons and Dragons with this document, and I have seen it work. So, yeah. I don't know. And they do a pretty good job of balancing it out. So here you go. You're a Banshee, and you have Undead trait. You don't require air, food, drink, or sleep. Instead, you enter a restful state, remaining semi-conscious for 4 hours a day. While resting, you can dream after a fashion. Such dreams are reflexive mental exercises inherent to your consciousness. After resting this way, you gain the same benefit a human does from 8 hours of sleep. I don't know how they touch upon being undead and being unable to heal. I don't know if they actually do. So you might just not be able to heal, which is kind of crazy. They turn your whale, the normal Banshee whale, dropping someone to 0 health if they fail a saving throw, to dissonant whispers once per day. So not nearly as strong as a real Banshee, but you have Banshee-like properties. Hey, no worries, Bexy Chillin. Thank you for popping in. And so they have flight, which is kind of amazing, in addition to being undead. And they have a corrupting touch, which means their natural attacks do necrotic damage. So I feel like they did a pretty cool, some pretty cool stuff here. They got a flaw here that would make this pretty unplayable in most adventures. Sorrowbound, you're forever bound to the place of your demise and unable to venture more than 5 miles from that location. But I feel like they faithfully adapt every single creature in the monster manual over into a playable race. And they even provide design notes about why they did it, because they break everything down into build points and then they rebuild the monster accordingly, reducing powers to kind of match what they got. One thing that's kind of weird is they do everything they can to turn every monster into a medium version of that monster. So down here we got the Behir, and they reduce the Behir down to be a medium creature, which seems a little weird. You also lose the Behir's ability to eat things alive, because there's probably not going to be much that you're fighting that you could eat alive. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting source to point out, as kind of like you literally can play as anything in D&D if you put a little bit of work into adapting it, but also as a source of some pretty cool abilities that we could go in. Like false appearance. While motionless, you appear indistinguishable, in this case, from a dead shrub. You must spend 1 minute motionless before this ability takes effect. That's a pretty interesting caveat there. You must maintain concentration during this time as if you were casting a spell, which they never really talk about what it means to have a false appearance, but maybe that is what it takes to maintain a false appearance. You have to have concentration. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. So yeah, a very, very interesting document. I think it'll be a good source of Bloodline abilities. So I'm going to add it to our list of things to kind of grab stuff from. All right. And let's see. Then there was also the new UA, which I wanted to take a peek at some of the new UA and how we could do that. And we already went over this in a stream last week, but there are some new things that are introduced that I think are worth a look. So we have this Radiant Soul. You succeed on a death save, you can gain a number of hit points equal to your proficiency bonus, and then a mental stat of your choice. So similar to the half-orc's ability to keep fighting, but on this one you have to be dead and then make a successful saving throw. This ability at first I felt was kind of bad, but the more I read over it, the more I'm kind of into it. So let's see, where'd you go, Radiant Soul? There it is. So I think Radiant Soul's a good one. I think there could be a way to reskin it or whatever, but overall I think it's pretty cool. Let's see. Astral Fire is kind of cool because it's an innate cantrip, but you get to pick the casting stat, which is a lot less, well, it's different from the High Elf one. High Elf gives you any wizard cantrip, and you have to take intelligence. This one gives you more flexibility, but only 3 cantrips to choose from. Let's see. Proficiencies, not really a thing that we need to worry about on that one. So then there's Auto Gnome, which is easily the strongest of all the new races in this UA. But the fact that you can just be a construct is pretty amazing. And that's where this True Life comes in. If the mending spell is cast on you, you can expend a hit die, roll it, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll, plus your constitution modifier. In addition, your creator designed you to benefit from common spells that preserve life that don't normally affect constructs. So this would be a construct-only thing, but it would be pretty dang useful. So we're going to go ahead and put that over here. We got neither dead nor alive here. But then we also have this ability, True Life, which could be kind of useful. The mechanical nature is also a great construct ability, and I think that we had looked into kind of dividing this particular one up into smaller pieces last week, but to see it repeated again on the Auto Gnome was pretty interesting. This ability, Built for Success, is kind of cool. It could be viewed as any sort of luck-based ability, and we did talk about the standard humanoids having a luck-based ability, so I thought this one was pretty interesting. So let's see. Built for Success. We could put innate luck, or something similar. And that basically allows you to add D4 to one attack, ability, or saving throw you make. You can do so after seeing the D20 before affecting it. This is a trait you can use a number of times due to proficiency bonus. I do like that proficiency bonus more and more and more is being pulled in as a resource guide for characters. Alright, we already have Century's Rest in our document. That's fine. Then we got the GIF. The GIF were kind of a letdown, honestly. They kind of ham-fist you into being a melee strength character with your GIF or get the fuck out. Which to me is a little disappointing since their new design claim seems to be not forcing races to focus on certain stats. And then they go and drop the GIF on you, and it is what it is. They have Damage Dealer. You are adept at damaging things. When you roll 1 a damage die for a melee attack, you can re-roll the die to use a new result. You can do so no more once per turn. So I would change this, not Damage Dealer per se, but maybe like Melee Master or something similar like that. I don't know why. Yeah, I guess we can keep the Hippopotamus in the Crystalware shop. But I do like the idea that it tells you on the label this is only giving you a damage bonus to melee attacks. Because I was excited. I thought that they would just get a damage bonus for being good at military stuff. That's not actually how the ability works. And then Hippo build, you have advantage on strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws, which is kind of huge because that's a part of Rage that everybody is into. In addition, you count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity, weight you could push, all that. So I thought that was kind of neat. So I don't know. So I thought maybe like Muscle Mastery might be kind of cool. Hey, what's up, Dark Force 199999? I think I got that. So instead of it being Hippo build, something along the lines, can be GIF Melee Rogue or Monk or Melee Ranger. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like GIF. Yeah, as long as you're playing a strength-based melee character, GIF is an amazing pick. But that kind of forces GIF into a role, and honestly, that's how D&D has always been. But then I'm just saying, compared to this new design where they want to push you in other directions, I feel like GIF was very, very, very... Yeah. I just feel like GIF was very, very, very much like forced into this role. They were forced into this role. Alright. Then we got the Hidozi. I thought the Hidozi were pretty cool. I like this Dexterous Feat. You can use object action as a bonus action. I mean, it poops all over the Rogue Thief, for sure, but it is pretty neat. I don't know if it needs to necessarily be feat, but basically something that's giving you fast hands as a species ability. I think that could be covered by a lot of things. You have dexterous feet, you have a prehensile tail, you have a lot of things that would. You have smaller hands. You know, you're like a bug person, and you have a smaller set of hands that is used just for object interactions. So, yeah, I think dexterous feet is limiting for our system, so we will have to come up with another prehensile. I don't think that's spelled right. Maybe. Okay. So that has potential for sure. It's a little strong, but I mean, not everybody's going to take it. Maybe you only wanted that part of the Rogue Thief, and now you don't have to worry about taking it. Let's see. Thri-kreen have an extra hands ability. We'll cover it in just a sec. We got Glide here. Glide is also an ability of the Simic Hybrid. So, you know, I certainly don't mind putting that in as well, because that's already something that was going to be in there because of Simic Hybrid. Let's see. And I think that's all that they do. But it's still pretty damn good. You can use a reaction to take no damage from falling. I think that's really good. But I guess they could be seen as a little boring, but I don't know. I feel like it gets too really, like, it has a climb speed, takes no fall damage, and can use objects as a bonus action. I feel like that's beneficial to most things that you're going to play. Now, admittedly, you can't be heavily armored and benefit from glide, so there is some limitation there, but it's not too bad. Then we've got actual ooze, the plasmoid. Now, I don't actually see the benefit of being an ooze, but we could make it a thing. I mean, you aren't affected by spells that affect a humanoid, so that in and of itself is pretty damn good. What else? This amorphous ability is super cool, but you basically have to go around naked. But I still think it's pretty fucking cool. I would love to play an ooze person. I think that would be super duper fun. Holding breath for an hour. Nobody got time for that. Yeah, the benefit of being an ooze is not being a humanoid. Agreed, Dom. Big agree. Let's see. Natural resilience. This is pretty nuts. You have resistance to acid and poison, and advantage on saving throws against poison, which I feel like we got resilience covered other places in the document, so we don't need to add this aversion in. Then you got shape self. If you're not incapacitated, you can reshape your body to give yourself a head, 1 or 2 arms, 1 or 2 legs, makeshift hands and feet. So this is obviously tied very much to being amorphous. So I feel like this might be a, you know, prereq kind of situation where shape self is there, but then you kind of go for there, unless you want to be like a Clayface person. But I feel like you would need amorphous as, as a prerequisite. And prerequisites definitely put us very firmly back in the Pathfinder camp. So I don't know how I feel about that. Or if we're getting too far into Pathfinder, I feel like that's always a red flag. But we'll see. Then we get down to the Thri-kreen. And the Thri-kreen are monstrosity, which in and of itself is kind of amazing. So let's see. Actual ooze, and we'll do actual construct as well. Oh yeah, this should say an ooze. There we go. This should say a construct. And actual monster. But I feel like that's pretty amazing that there's going to be oozes, constructs, and monstrosities, and then according to our system, actual undead. Um, so that's a whole thing. Ooh, a transformer could be a shaped self without amorphous. That's true. That's true. All right, we'll make it separate then. Okay. Also, imagine that you want to play a changeling who's so good at shapeshifting that they also have this ability to just make themselves more parts. You know what I'm saying? And you combine this with the Wicker ability that we already put in there, and you really are starting to shift your body around into new and exciting shapes. Like, I think that's pretty badass. Yeah. So let's see. The Thrycreen have a chameleon carapace, which is kind of cool. So we're just going to take the chameleon aspect of this. Make more limbs than use alter self. Oh, yeah. So there's, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of potential there for this stuff. So we're going to add chameleon as an ability. And then as an action, you can change the color of your body to match the color and texture of your surroundings, giving you advantage on dexterity. So this kind of implies that you would need to be unarmored. So we'll kind of clarify that, since this is a part of when you aren't wearing armor. So we'll have to do that. Let's see. Texture or something. Here we go. When you aren't wearing armor, this gives you... There we go. Advantage on dexterity. Stealth checks made. There we go. All right. Then we go down to secondary arms. Here it is. You have two slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary pair of arms. The secondary arms function like your primary arms with the following exceptions. And I felt like this was pretty well balanced. You can use a secondary arm to wield a weapon that has the light weapon property, but you can't use a secondary arm to wield other kinds of weapons, and you can't wield a shield with your secondary arms. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I was going to add that. And then I was going to add the caveat. You may take this one additional time if you wanted to literally be like a six-armed person. I thought that'd be kind of cool. So we'll add that. All right. And let's see, Sleepless Revitalization unit requires sleep and choose to remain conscious during long rest, so you must still refrain from strenuous activity to gain the benefits of... So that's another type of Sleepless ability. So we'll eventually pile all these Sleepless abilities up into one area, and then people can kind of decide how they want, like what kind of Sleepless character they want to have. Because isn't that the dream, to not have to sleep? And then I like the telepathy. It doesn't have to be Thrycreen telepathy. It's very, very strong, in my opinion. But I dig it. It's any number also, so you can basically at a low level create sort of a telekinetic network, which is pretty amazing. I would list this then as advanced telepathy, and then have a weaker telepathy, such as from the Ghostwise Halfling or something. There we go. And then a really weak telepathy would be from the Verdant. So let me add that real quick. Let's see. Telepathy. So we'll make that big. We'll make this smaller. Weak telepathy would be the Verdant. And then telepathy would be the Ghostwise Halflings. Alright. We got a couple of minutes. Let's go ahead and dig those up real quick. There we go. And let's see. We'll go to... Yeah, I don't need that. I'm so excited about your Critical Role adventure, for real. Alright, we're going to go to race. And we'll go down to Halfling. Halfling. There we go. And we will jump to sub-races. Okay. Ghostwise. Ghostwise have silent speech. So this is like, this is mid-range. Like you do 60 feet, sorry, 30 feet, and only if you share a language. So it's very limited. So that advanced telepathy, you can see this is what we had before, and this is what they're bringing to the table. Yeah. Then we're gonna go to, oh, you butts. I did not mean to click that link. Oh, I hear you, Siri. We're just about to wrap up, I promise. So if we go into Verdun, which is a fun race, by the way. It's very, very cool. We're going to go down, down, down. And they have limited telepathy. That's actually what it's called. And you can telepathically speak to any creature within 30 feet. You don't need to share a language. You must be able to understand at least one language. Slow and limited, allowing you to transport and receive only simple ideas and straightforward concepts. So we'll just put limited instead of weak. So there's 3 tiers of telepathy across the different races. So you building your character can decide for yourself which telepathy is best for the character you're building or the species that you're trying to represent. Cool. So yeah, this continues. You can see how this project could very quickly get out of hand, why this project could constantly be evolving as you go, especially as you playtest stuff and more abilities come out that would then call into question, well, if this new ability is stronger than anything we've ever seen before, and we put it into tier 4, do we just accept the fact that this super powerful thing is a tier 4 ability, or do we restructure everything around this new tier 4 ability? So there's a lot to think about with this as we go. So I don't really want to spend too much more time on stream going over the Bloodline system, because I feel like there's new things that we could be exploring in the world building document. I would like to maybe start working on culture as a potential system as well. Though there is definitely some temptation to wait until December when Level Up 5e sends out the PDFs for their stuff, and we could take a read on that, their culture system, get a better sense of how we want to apply culture in our game. So something to think about. So next week we will either continue with Bloodline, start on culture, or dig into some other aspect of world building. I don't want this whole world building project to suddenly become the Bloodlines project. But the Bloodlines project is definitely something that needs to be continuously built and worked on in the background, so that when we're ready to start running games in the system, people are able to go in and build the sort of characters they want to make. I'd also like to start maybe offering up this system to people to use to build characters in the games that I'm running, just because I want them to have that opportunity to make essentially whatever they want to play. All right. So that is our stream for Gothic Horror this week. Let's get to some quick announcements before we adjourn. Extra Life is in 24 days, and more than likely I'm going to be working on Extra Life every second that I have available between now and Extra Life. I may stream some of that prep, I may not. You might see me streaming at weird hours or weird times that I don't normally stream at, just so that I could throw up some Extra Life content. I am trying to get some of the DMs from last year that helped me populate the dungeon this year. It's over 1 million square feet of dungeon, so lots of dungeon to fill up. And we're working on the gachas to put in the loot boxes this year for people who are spending their donation money on that. So remember, donations for Extra Life can be used to strengthen the heroes or the monsters. So that should be pretty exciting. We got the final game of Monster Hunter this Friday. It has been amazing so far and should be pretty cool. The Aversion Western Cowboy one-shot that is now a 2-shot, that is going to go live on YouTube on Thursday, so you can take a look at that. And then later in the month, the second part of that will happen. Just a lot of neat stuff happening on the server. But the big focus right now is, of course, on Extra Life. So if you're interested in helping us out with Extra Life in any way, message me on Discord. If If not, the best thing you could do is when I start posting that stuff on socials, is just share those links with people, retweet, and try to get people interested and excited. Oh, and we got Rime of the Frost Maiden tomorrow night as we move closer and closer to the conclusion of Rime of the Frost Maiden. So lots and lots and lots of stuff happening with D&D. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out. I think we got to look at some pretty neat stuff tonight and check out lots of different ways that you could build and customize your character. I will see you next time.